All right, today we're going to talk about a financial idea that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. But the logic behind it is, well, it's shockingly simple. We're going to break down how one company's big bet on robots could completely rewrite the rules of how we think about money and value. And it all starts with a number that is kind of hard to wrap your head around. $100 trillion. Seriously, just look at that number for a second. Let it sink in. It's a figure so huge, it almost feels fake. Just for some context, that is more than the value of every single stock market on the planet combined. So naturally, you gotta ask,
how is that even possible? It sounds completely insane, right? Like a fantasy? But the answer has nothing to do with building more factories or selling more cars in the way we usually think about it. Nope. It's about unlocking this gigantic hidden source of value that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
And that gets us to the absolute heart of the idea. Capitalizing labor. This is the invisible engine that could power a valuation that big. It's a total shift in how we think about the value of work itself. Okay, so this concept is everything. In our economy today, we've pretty much turned everything that creates value into a financial asset. You know, we've capitalized the output from factories, software code, even patents. But the single biggest driver of the entire global economy, well, it's always been kept off the books as an asset. And that driver is the $60 trillion global labor market. That's what we pay human workers every year in wages and benefits. It's this massive, massive flow of value. But it's always treated like an expense, a cost of doing business. It's like this ghost in the economic machine. It makes everything run, but nobody owns it. It never, ever shows up on the asset side of the balance sheet. Well, until now, maybe. And this slide right here shows the fundamental shift. For basically all of history, human labor has been a line item, an ongoing expense you have to manage. But when a company owns a robot that does that same job, the work it does isn't just saving money. It becomes a predictable, value-generating asset that the company literally owns. The expense gets transformed into an asset. Now, I know labor capitalization sounds super jargony and complicated, so let's just break it down with a really simple analogy that'll make this whole thing click. So picture this. You've got a little lemonade stand, and you make, say, $50 on a weekend. Right now, that's just cash in your pocket. It's just a little activity. But then, you decide to make it official. You create Lemonade Co., and you project its future earnings. Suddenly, an investor sees that potential and buys a piece of your company. Just like that, the future money-making power of your little stand has been converted or capitalized into a tradable asset, a stock. You've literally turned an activity into a financial instrument with real market value. Okay, you with me. Now let's take that exact same logic from the lemonade stand and apply it to Tesla's Optimus robot, because this is where the real financial magic starts to happen. Think about a factory worker. The total cost for the company, we're talking salary, benefits, taxes, the whole shebang, might be around $90,000 a year. For that factory, that's just an expense, pure cost. But what if they could deploy an Optimus robot to do that same job and the all-in cost was, say, $50,000 a year? Well, the factory instantly saves 40 grand. But that's not even the most important part of the story. So here's the absolute key. That $50,000 annual cost for the factory, it's actually a brand new, super predictable revenue stream for Tesla, the company supplying the robot. Tesla has just created a stream of cash flow that literally did not exist before. And let's say, out of that new revenue, Tesla makes a net profit of $25,000 a year from just one robot. And this isn't a one-time thing. It's a stable, recurring profit year after year. And if there's one thing the stock market absolutely loves, it's stable, recurring profits. This is where we get into the alchemy of modern finance. See, the stock market doesn't just look at 1 year of profit. It assigns a multiplier. It's called a price to earnings, or PE ratio, based on how stable and how fast those profits are expected to grow in the future. And the math is actually beautiful in its simplicity. You take that $25,000 in annual profit, you give it a PE multiple, let's just use 40, which is pretty normal for a high-growth tech company. $25,000 times 40 is $1 million. Just like that, by replacing one human job, Tesla could potentially add $1 million to its stock market value. So that's the impact of a single robot. Now just imagine what happens when you scale this up. Not by tens or hundreds, but by the millions. This is where we go from a neat financial trick to something that could totally change the world's economy. Just follow the logic here. If you deploy 1 million robots, you get 1 trillion in new market value. If you deploy 10 million, you get 10 trillion. And if you deploy 100 million robots, which is still just a small fraction of the global workforce, you land right back at that impossible number from the beginning, $100 trillion. And all of a sudden, it doesn't seem so crazy anymore, does it?
And of course, Tesla isn't the only one who wins in this scenario. The companies that actually use the robots, their costs go way, way down, which makes them more valuable too. And if those companies pass those savings on, then we, the consumers, win. We get to buy goods and services for much cheaper. This could actually lead to an era of mass deflation, where things just keep getting less and less expensive over time.
So the big takeaway here, what you should really remember, is that this goes so far beyond just Tesla. This could be a fundamental shift from an economy that has always been defined by the scarcity of human labor to a new economy built on the abundance of autonomous labor. This doesn't just create value, it completely redefines what value even is.
All of this, the trillions of dollars, the huge economic shift, this potential age of abundance, it all brings us to one last really fascinating question about what comes next.
I mean, think about it. For all of human history, our labor, our time, and effort has been this fundamental scarce resource that basically supports all economic value. If autonomous robots make labor abundant and nearly free, what takes its place? What becomes the new bottleneck, the new source of scarcity, and therefore the new measure of what is truly valuable? That is the $100 trillion question to chew on.